Saturday night, a Mexican Navy tall ship crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge. Believe it or not, if you're not familiar with the tall ships, they're like these huge, they really are tall ships, but they're huge. They usually come to Boston like during the summer, so you can kind of catch them once a year. They're here for like a couple of days, and you can go down to the seaport area and you can see the tall ships. But they're tall ass boats, which is why they're called tall ships. Now, I want you to keep that in mind when you see this video and ask yourself, why in the hell did they think that this tall ship was going to be able to fit under the Brooklyn Bridge? Check this out. Here's the video right here, folks. So it says here, a search and rescue. This is when the search and rescue operation started. It said the ship was carrying 200 people and it crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge. I think right now it's being reported there's like 19 injuries. 2 people, I think, have died. Watch this, guys. It's kind of in slow motion, too. And what you don't see is that there were some people at the top of the mast of this ship, by the way. Everyone's not at the bottom. There were people up at the top. And you can see how slow the ship is moving, almost as though, wait a minute, it was moving slow enough, in my opinion, that this ship could have corrected course. Even right there, you would think the ship would have stopped or something, but there's something very weird about this. Why would they think that the ship could even fit under the Brooklyn Bridge? Like I said, as you can see, the tall ships are tall ships. Like, I mean, they're tall. So why would they even try to make this attempt? Danny said, why were they up there? I don't know. There were people at the top of the mast. So when you see that ship hit the bridge, you need to know that this part right here, people are falling off. Right there, right about there. In New York. We're going to get into a little bit more about this story, but I want you to think about the bigger picture again, right? Notice we've been hearing a lot about crashes. Notice we've heard a lot about, I don't know how many plane stories I covered on this show this year. All these planes crashing or engines catching on fire. There was another bridge story I covered. I think it may have been last year where how many bridges collapsed? How many of those stories have I covered on the show in the past year? And then there was another ship that also ran into a bridge that also covered that as well. What message are they really trying to send us? I want you to think about that. But we'll get into this here. There's a little bit more details when local news reported it. Listen to this.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Kaidi Tong. We begin with breaking news. Rescue efforts underway in the East River after a massive ship has crashed into the Brooklyn Bridge. Stunning new video shows the ship slamming into the bottom of the bridge as hundreds below watched and recorded in disbelief. Police say the crash happened just after 9 p.m. Multiple people are being treated at the hospital. Pixlama's McGee Hickey just arrived on the scene. She is live with new details. McGee, what can you tell us?
Well, we're here in Dumbo, and if you take a look behind me, you see this massive tall ship with what we believe is a Mexican flag that must have drifted between the Brooklyn and Manhattan bridges. It's right now on the south side of the Manhattan Bridge, but the crash actually occurred into the Brooklyn Bridge, and we believe it happened more like around 8:30 this evening. It's believed that there were several crew members on board who were injured. Some people are reporting that it is a Mexican Navy tall ship. There were believed to be 200 people on board. And from talking to some people, they saw people up in the top mast. See, it's 5 layers of sails on this tall ship. And
so you guys can see how tall it is here, right? So again, she's saying the boat drifted. Like, what do you mean it drifted? How did that happen? And why were there people all the way up there at the top? I don't know. I don't know. But how many stories are we going to hear about boats crashing into bridges collapsing? Like, what is going on?
And it looks like 3 different masts. And when it slammed into the Brooklyn Bridge, it looked like at least 2 of the masts toppled. And we have talked to some people who believe they saw crew members hanging from the sails. We don't know. We haven't confirmed that with police. You can see up in the sky, there are at least 3, maybe 4 choppers, several of them police helicopters, we believe. There are also at least 3 NYPD boats on the ground. And
okay, so Eric just informed me that it looks like there may have been an engine failure on the ship and it drifted in, right? So this goes back to another infrastructure issue. How many more stories are we going to hear about engine failures, whether it's a plane, whether it's a boat, etc.? Like, this is crazy. And I don't know why. I don't know why there were people at the very top, but maybe they've done this before. It's scary, though.
You know, this is just everyone saying, how could someone who is piloting this very tall ship think that they could go under the Brooklyn Bridge and not crash into the bridge? As we were arriving here in Dumbo, we're right by, if you know Dumbo at all, we're right by Jane's Carousel on that side of the Manhattan Bridge. We spoke to one eyewitness named Micah Gunn, who took a lot of the videos, and he describes what he saw.
There are people working on the sailboat. There's a bunch of them at the very top of the sails. As the bridge is going under, it hits the very top, like the top of the sailboat hits the bridge. The people at the top, they don't fall off because they're all in harnesses, but they all been I've been hanging for the past hour.
Wow, what are your thoughts?
I mean, as a bystander, it's pretty hectic, crazy. You would never think such a thing would happen. You think it was, I don't want to say common sense, but maybe a little bit of common sense to check before if you could get under or not, whether the height of your boat and get through or not. So.
Yeah, I just want to explain that. Thank you, Rod. So Dumbo down under the Manhattan Bridge. Yeah, that area is kind of gentrified. But very, very, very scary here.
And with me now are 2 more witnesses to first the crash at the Brooklyn Bridge, and then they saw this tall ship head to the Manhattan Bridge where it is not moving anymore. With me is Haroon
Salahuddin
and Ali
Nawaz.
All right, so we'll start with you, Haroon. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, me, Ali, and another friend of ours, we were just eating pizza on on the side of the Brooklyn Bridge where the boat was headed in. Yeah. And then we saw clearly that the mast was too high. Yeah, for the one of our friends called it out, and it kept continuing, and we saw it like all 3 of them, they got knocked down or got hit by the bridge, and we saw people unfortunately dangling. There were people on the mast, like there were people like all standing on the mast. They were like holding lights, and we saw them like when the mast got hit, there were people dangling, and I think at least 1 or 2 people we saw like fall down. Yeah, so
I hope they're all right.
And did you see police rescuing anybody?
Police arrived maybe 5 or 10 minutes after it happened. I think the boat had come to a stop by then over here. There was actually a point where we didn't know whether the people on top of the boat were real, because we were confused as to why there were people standing on top of the mast. So we weren't sure 100% initially whether there was something worth calling the police for. And then obviously we found out that there were people up on there were alive, and that there was a medical emergency, of course. So yeah.
Hopefully.
It's interesting too, because the other story that we covered a couple of months ago about the ship that also crashed, there was another ship that crashed into a bridge, and they said the same thing. Oh, the power went out and we didn't have any engine power and the boat just kind of drifted in or whatever. It just, I don't know. Like it's concerning. I'm also concerned about the fact that there were people at the top of that mast. That just doesn't appear to be safe. So I don't know who gave that an okay.
Everyone survived. And when you take a look at how tall that tall ship is, and it could not go under the Manhattan Bridge. Clearly, it could not go under the Brooklyn Bridge.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
And it does have a Mexican flag, maybe a naval flag.
Yes, yeah, it did. Yeah.
I believe so.
All right. Thank you, Haroon. Thank you, Ali. Thank you very much for sharing what you saw.
Yeah, I don't know, you guys. It's scary. And someone mentioned Baltimore. Yes. Yep, that's right. The crash into the bridge in Baltimore. That was the other one that we covered. I'm like, okay, why do you guys keep losing engine power? Like, what's happening here? And I think Eric has a picture that we can show you of the people. Look at this. So here's the picture. All three masts were loaded. It says, so yeah, there may have been a few boo-boos. Hope they come out of it. Look at this. You guys see the people? I hope you can see it okay. But there's people here and there's people right here. There's people here. You can see there's an arm waving right there. And there's people there. I would think this isn't safe. No? That doesn't look safe at all. Jeez Louise, like why? And there's people right here too on the net. But this does not look safe at all. Eric said it looks like crew members holding lights, but still, why are they? I don't know, man. I just don't think that that's safe. And I want to show you something else as well. Let me come out of here because there's another part. You can see it a little bit better because there's more light here. So you can see all the lights around it. Then Kayla is saying prayers to those that were affected by the Brooklyn Bridge fiasco never should have happened. I think it's being reported now that 2 people have died and there have been injuries, but Jesus Christ, that's scary. It also shows you how strong this Brooklyn Bridge is, right? I've been across that bridge multiple times. So it just, wow. But I want you to think about, like, why does this continue to happen? Like, why do we keep hearing all these stories about engine failure, power failure? It kind of reminds me of that movie, and someone had already brought it up, but the movie that was on Netflix called Leave the World Behind, where we have the power failure and all that. I don't want to give too much away if you didn't see it, but it just seems like we're having these engine failures on planes, plane crashes. You're hearing more about plane crashes now. You're hearing about, I don't know how many stories were covered now about the ships crashing into things, and they're saying we lost power with the engine. And it just makes me wonder, is it that these incidents have been happening in the past, or is it that they increased now? Or is it that they happened before in the past, but corporate media just didn't report it as much? Because here's the thing, the news clip that I just showed you of that woman, that was local news. Remember, the stories are given to them. So they really, the anchors who sit down, they're not picking the stories they want to cover, not at local news station. I interned a local news station before, not at those types of stations, right? So the stories are already chosen for them. So I want people to start asking that question. Is it that we're having more engine failures with these ships? We're having more engine failures with planes at this point in time now? Or is it that we had these issues before in the past at the same frequency, but it just wasn't reported on? And if that's the case, that this has been happening all along and it just wasn't reported on, why are they giving so much attention to it now? I just want people to think outside the box, right? Because I feel like this is kind of a wake-up call, whether it's coming with the media. Maybe the media is trying to send a message. I don't know. But I would say, you know, obviously plane crashes have happened before in the past. The question is the frequency. Just something to think about. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.